Hi, thank you for giving me all the feedback. Many of you have said that you would like to see comparative studies. So, from this episode onwards, we are going to change the format. Uh, Instead of giving you the daily progress of the sugar readings, instead, I'm going to study various foods on different days, and at the end of the week, it will be a compilation of, for example, all the way different breakfasts and how they affect the sugar levels, then different lunches, different tea time snacks, tea and tea time snacks, and then, of course, the dinner. So, this way, we can see which food has a good effect or which food has a bad effect. So, on that front, I've also done already the study on eating various kinds of donuts. I know we are not supposed to eat that, diabetic people, but for the study's sake, I have eaten many stuff that I'm not supposed to, but this is only for a few weeks, so it's okay with me. So let's go on to the first show. And every episode from now on, you can expect a different food being studied. Okay, thank you.
This episode, we are going to see fruits and vegetarian breakfast that most of the vegetarians would be eating. If you want to study something else, please let me know. I have ordered these with the best in terms of the sugar levels, all the way to the worst. So, here is a breakfast with a bunched oats cereal with milk and half an apple. So I had my breakfast around 9:30, and then my sugar stayed where it was. Uh, what I've done here is, of course, I'm studying only the increase of the levels and how long it stays in our body. So if you see the numbers, it doesn't really vary for an hour, and after that it is going up slightly, and by 11:15, in about 2.25 hours, I had reached, it had gone up by 17 points, and from there the slope reduced, but it went up to the maximum of 23. So from 23 it started going down. It was only 13 points above my starting count when I had my breakfast, and around this time was my lunch time. So this is not a big variation, going up to 23 and dropping to 13 before my next meal. And I'm sure this line would have gone down further because the effect of the food will take at least half an hour to an hour to start taking effect. So we notice that this food, this particular cereal with apples, had really not affected the sugar level that much. So I would say this is a good cereal to eat. The next one I'm going to show you is a day when I had just cantaloupes for my breakfast. I know I was a little hungry after that, but then I wanted to test what is the effect of one fruit. So I had my breakfast around 9 o'clock, and then in within about half an hour, 9:30, it had gone up by 23 points, and then it kind of stayed there. This 15 is probably a glitch. So it kind of stayed there and went up to 33. That was the maximum this had reached. And then again, it kind of stayed, slowly started coming down. And then by the time I had my lunch at 12:30, I had come back to where I started. So this is what you have to see is how much the sugar is going up from your base level and how long it stays in your body, and it comes down by the time your next meal to your baseline. So I would say this is a very good breakfast to eat. The next I'm going to show you is the day I had a cereal. This was kind of homemade cereal with various kinds of nuts crushed together. One thing I would like to warn is please do not take cashew nuts because that's very high in sugar increasing effect. So don't take cashew. You can take walnuts, almonds, pecans, and anything else you can take. And that particular day, I had it with almond milk. So I had my breakfast as usual around 8:39, and in about an hour it had gone up only by about 8 points. And then it went up, started going up, which means the effect started working. It went to 27 by 10:30 and then slowly started climbing to a maximum of 40 above my baseline at around 11:30. And from 11:30 it started coming down, and it was only about a 19-20 points above by the time I had my lunch at 12:30. Again, this is okay, slightly higher, but this is would be agreeable to people who started off with a very high diabetes. So I would say this is okay. The next is fruits. Again, just a fruits breakfast. I had cantaloupes. I had half an apple and half a banana. And I had this because the pre once I had tried this just cantaloupes. That was not filling, so I said, let me have a filling breakfast, and but just fruits. So I started my breakfast around 9 o'clock as usual, and within about half an hour, this had gone up by 30 points and then started still climbing up to 42 by about 10:15, 10:30. Then it started slowly coming down, but not too much. It stayed there at a level of 42 plus from my baseline for almost an hour till about 11:30. So I would say from breakfast around 2.25 hours. And then look at the slope. It started coming down drastically, and within an hour, I was back to my base level. And then, of course, around my lunch time, I was right there at my base level. So this again is 42 points above. So this is would be next in our thing that this is not bad because the sugar goes up. It is expected to go up when you eat fruits or anything, and then it came down back to normal levels, my levels. So I would say this is also okay to take. The next vegetarian food is one of the favorites for Indians. This is called vada. This is made with urad dal. It's a lentil with coriander chutney and half a banana. So I had my breakfast around 8:39, and then it started climbing slowly and in about an hour it had reached 16 points. And after an hour, watch this graph. It went, and within a half an hour, it went to a 71 points above the baseline. And after that, for another hour, it still started climbing to a maximum of 85 points above the baseline at around 11:30, which is 2.5 hours. And after that, it started climbing down slowly and reached 51 points above my baseline, at which time was my lunch time. So this has doesn't have a very good effect, because this is fried in oil. So that is the main culprit. The lentil by itself is okay, but when anything is fried in oil, it's not good for us diabetics. So here you see how bad the effect of this food is, and it stays in your body. This is what causes organ failures and things like that. The next one is a Indian favorite. These are called puris. Okay, this is made out of all-purpose flour or wheat flour and rolled into these small disc shapes and deep fried in oil. Usually, when it comes out, it's puffed up. They also make this with tortillas. If you deep fry your tortilla, it will come like this. I had potato sabji or a potato vegetable spiced up with a little bit of pickles, uh, a couple of pieces of apple, and half a banana. So this is an Indian favorite, and look at my sugar chart. I think I had my breakfast after 9 that day, and then it stayed there for about an hour and or 1.5 hours almost there. But after 1.5 hours, look at the chart. Look at how steep it is going up. So by 11:30, I was at 80 points above, and around by 12, I had reached my maximum point of 104. And then it almost stayed at that level till my lunchtime. It was only 85, it was 85 points above my baseline. So this again shows you fried stuff not good at all. I would avoid it. I just had it for this study to show you how bad oil fried items can be. The next thing I'm going to show you is another Indian favorite. These are called parathas, kind of chapatis. I had two of them with some vegetable made with peas and carrots and half a banana. And this is one of the favorites Indians eat. And let's look at the sugar level. It's almost the same thing as puri effect. It stays there for about an hour, nothing happens, and then it starts its upward climb, reaching 77 within half an hour, and then continues to keep climbing up for another hour till it reached a maximum of 150 plus. I think it was 154 at the highest point. So, and then it started its way down, coming down in a very slow, gradual decrease. And by lunchtime, it was 83 points when I had my lunch. So, this sugar staying in our blood for this long from breakfast time is definitely not good. You should avoid. That would be my sincere advice. So let's put together all these things and see how it all worked out. As I told you, I started this episode with cereal, this bunched oat cereal with milk, regular milk, and half an apple. In this study of these seven breakfasts, this was the best. It went up to a maximum of 23 points. And then the next was cantaloupes. It had gone up to a maximum of 33 points, but came down back. Very good. The next one was this crushed nuts with almond milk. It went up and stayed there at 40 points above my baseline and kind of stayed there and had come down to about 19, 20 points by the time I had my lunch. So this is okay. The next day was fruits. It was a combination of fruits. It went up to a maximum of 42, but sugar stayed in the body for a long time, but it had come down to normal. So I would say this is okay. Then we saw this vada, and this had taken our sugar up to by 85 points, and I would say this is definitely not acceptable for diabetics. So all this fried Indian food is not good for you. The next was this puris with potato sabji and a few pieces of fruit. Again, went up all the way to 104 points above my baseline. Definitely to be avoided. And see, it just stayed there. I don't think it went down till about 4 o'clock in the evening that day. So definitely please avoid this. And then, of course, finally was our parathas with some vegetables, sabji, and half a banana. It stayed in the body, it was digesting it, and then when it started working on your sugar, shot up to 150 plus points above my baseline. And then again, in this case, it stayed there for 4 5 hours. So you can see the amount of damage this kind of fried stuff can do.